Not even close, but all right.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About Transformers Live. Yay! This is basically where I used to do a segment where I would answer questions from, mainly Extra Zero and some other viewers and stuff. And I would ask y'all out, and all that stuff. So we decided to do a live thing. Well, tonight I don't have Extra Zero with me. I have some other people from Stasis Lock. I got some very special guests. I have Tyler G, the main Beast Wars guys. How you doing?
Hello.
And we got Dalton.
What up?
He's just Dalton. And we got the infamous Dakota. I mean, it's an honor to be in this man's presence. I mean, it's just.
See, up until that point,
You
I
know,
think
you're-
you had us backwards because I'm infamous and he is the Beast Wars famous guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got him wrong. I apologize.
No, by all means.
I'm just here.
It's
Hello.
still like, is it still more of an honor to have me than Tyler though? Because that's where
yeah.
I'm hanging on by a thread.
Yeah,
Okay.
Come on,
Okay, good. Yeah.
come on now.
No, Matt, you're the cutest.
You're the biggest draw here.
No, you're the cutest.
You're the
Jesus.
biggest draw. You know that.
Relax.
Dalton's the biggest draw. Everybody knows Dalton's the big draw. But anyway, so tonight our topic is, and this is Tyler's. I'm going to let Tyler go through what he wants to talk about because it's a really interesting little subject. So, Tyler, take it away.
Okay, well, I just figured I'd bring this to the table, considering you are Mr. Hasbro himself. Do you think that there is still a market, with the way third parties going, you think there's still a market for third-party add-on and upgrade kits, like we saw for Combiner Wars and for other figures like that, that we've seen in recent years? Because with the way the third party's gone, it's mainly Masterpiece now. And you don't really see a lot of third-party companies coming out with just upgrade kits anymore. I think the last one that we saw, one that always sticks out is Perfect Effect, but they've kind of been making their own figures now more than they're doing upgrade kits. And DNA Designs did an upgrade kit for the Throne of the Primes Primal and the updated, I guess, Optimal Optimus. But we used to see a lot more, like with the upgrade kits that we saw with the Revenge of the Fallen combiners, like the Bruticus and the Superion.
Yeah, Fans Project, yeah.
And then I think there was 3 or 4 different companies in the race for the Combiner Wars stuff. You had Transform Dreamwave, you had Perfect Effect. Toy World, even late in the game, they decided they were going to make figures for their combiner upgrades. And I was just curious, do you think that there's even a market for that anymore? And do you think that there is a chug market to tap into anymore with the way collecting's been going?
Well, I mean, to go off on that, I mean, third party started off with, upgrade kits. The Optimus. I mean, I'm sorry, the Ultra Magnus and the Rodimus.
Absolutely.
That was the
Well,
beginning.
then even alternators with that little gas can gun thing.
Yeah, well, that was a little, further on, but I think
That was one of the first.
I think wasn't Cliff Jumper? They had a little.
Yeah, Cliff Jumper with his rocket launcher.
Yeah, I think that was the
first.
Was it the very first? Okay, then Ultramax came along, and then you had the Rodimus and everything, and then it just exploded. And Lance asked, where Dr. Wu is. I think Dr. Wu is still putting out stuff, isn't he?
Yeah, man. Like I was checking in because I was looking for a few pieces, like a week ago, and I want to say I was still seeing some stuff on eBay, some newer stuff that I hadn't seen before, and I think that's a lot to it. Is like we're just not seeing a lot of the
I don't know what he said.
promotion.
Can you hear me?
No. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can now.
Okay. I think we're just not seeing a lot of the promotion. I think that's the issue.
Well, we got the new,
is we're not
the new is it no nerf or no what is that stuff
Non-F.
for the non-F for the Titan? I'm sorry, for the Siege stuff, which looks really good. We went over tonight on a podcast, Cybercast, and they look really good. The Sasquatch stuff, the Hound, and they got some other stuff coming and everything for Shockwave and everything. So I think we're moving towards the Siege stuff. And like Tyler said, there was a big explosion for, the Combiner Wars and the Powder Prime stuff, with the feet. There was like 3 different companies making feet and weapons. Didn't they make some weapons for the Dinobots also, and for Combiner? Didn't they do some weapons?
Yeah. Yeah, they
Yep.
combined both the hands and
And-
feet and that into one big set.
And Transform Dreamwave, they were actually my favorite because a lot of people don't know this about me, being the Beast Wars lover that I am, but I used to be a big Bruticus fan, and Transform Dreamwave aesthetically had the best upgrade for the torso for the Combiner Wars Bruticus, or Unite Warriors, I guess is the one that they did it for.
Okay.
And they did one for Volcanicus. I think it's
Yep.
supposed to, yeah, the Dinobots one, right?
Mhm.
They did one for
Mhm.
that, and that looked really, really good too.
The Abominus one looked really good.
Yeah, I everything's kind of gotten quiet from third-party upgrade kits with the Siege stuff coming out, and I'm just kind of, other than like I was listening to SCU and Robert D was saying it's pretty much, and like I don't know how he was saying it, but like it's not even like an insult, but it is. It's like a bunch of people doing it from their basement because a lot of these companies aren't really putting their, their stick in the fire anymore.
Yeah, you got little smaller companies say that, like Nerf or whatever they call them. They're coming out, and they're just doing, basically they're printing from, little, 3D printers and just,
Yeah.
sending stuff out, and everything. So, and
Which is cool by all means.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's awesome. It gets the community involved. But I'm just curious where the third party add-on kit community kind of dropped off, and why there's not such a pull for it anymore.
I mean, like you said, is there a need for them anymore? Like, with Siege, you don't have any combiners right now. I don't know if they're going to put any combiners out. I think, you got Pronicon coming. There might be one for him. I don't know if that's even going to be a Siege line. That might be a Select or something. I don't know.
It's Select.
It's a Select. Okay, see. And so, so let's take, y'all are, all three of y'all are big Beast Wars fans, and, I'm a big fan too. Would you want add-on kits for Beast Wars? Like, little small little things, like, like the rubber ducky, or for your MP stuff. Would y'all want to see some of that stuff?
Well,
I don't
definitely.
think add-on kits could work for MP. Well, I mean, they could work like as far as accessories go, but I don't really think any of the Masterpiece stuff, the official Takara Masterpiece stuff, needs upgrade kits per se.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's always a desire for for
Shotgun for
accessories.
Dinobot, that stuff for Dinobot had the shell casings around him, and didn't they have an upgrade kit for him? Or add-on kit, not upgrade, but add-on kit for Dinobot.
No.
I think two different people did that, but I think it was I think Dakota actually got both of them. There was one with a gun rack, and then the bullet belt around the chest.
Yeah.
And then the other one was just the bullet belt around the chest and one of the big guns, I think it was.
And then one
would be the one to talk about.
And then there was also the hammer too.
Okay, I thought there was like a shotgun or something, or like another weapon added on or something, like you said.
Yeah. It was the big shotgun.
Yeah, the sniper.
And then
Gotcha.
Rat Trap's little gun.
Okay, gotcha.
Uh-oh.
There goes Dakota.
That's fine.
That's
Well,
fine.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, if they did, so what if they start doing stuff for, like, the Chug stuff, like, the Generations Rat Trap, or the Rhinox, or the Waspinator, or something, like, just little nods that were in the the cartoon to give them. Would y'all be interested in something like that?
I think
I'd be game for it.
Yeah, personally, as far as Chug stuff goes, my interest will always be more towards the fixes.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh,
well, you know how like with the Combiner Wars stuff, they did new feet with better ankles, more articulation that way. Did the new hands with more articulation in the fingers and the wrists and that kind of stuff.
Well, then
And
there
I
was
think-
even ratchet joints that were made too for, like, the Prime mold. They did ratchet
Right,
stuff.
that kind of stuff. That's the kind of upgrade kits I'd be looking for Beast Wars figures. Until they do a Beast Wars combiner, the only kind of stuff that I'm even really interested in would be just like hardware fixes, or like better like color matching panels or stuff like that. Just
yeah.
and like weapons, more accessories. But I think I kind of answered my own question here, but I think the reason we saw a big surge in third-party upgrade kits was because of all the combiners. Like when I first noticed it, it was the Bruticus and the Superion from Revenge of the Fallen. and those were combiner upgrade kits, and they did their own figures, like the Swindle and what was
Blast
the other
Off.
one? The Blast Off, yeah, the Swindle and the Blast Off, and then I don't know which one they did for Superion.
It was just to add new hands and feet.
Yeah, hands and feet. Yeah. Yeah, the fans. You're talking about the fans project, Bruticus.
Right.
They added on to. Yeah. I remember. I have those too. Yeah, I made it.
Right. And then, for all the Combiner Wars stuff, it was just hands and feet upgrades. But then you had your Transform Dreamwave that, really stepped it up and did a new chest plates or new torsos or, you know what I mean? That kind of, where you actually had to unscrew parts and, replace parts on the Hasbro figures to make the combiner that much better. And I think that's what I would be interested in, like part swapping. Because to me, that's an upgrade. Accessories isn't really an upgrade. It's more like
it's an add-on.
Yeah, essentially. It's just like an accessory pack, something that should have come with it, but they're selling it separately. But now, it's coming from a third party instead of official.
I'm sorry, go on.
And then to go on the Combiner Wars thing, you had S&D doing the IDW Prime upgrade to where, it changed him from just this weird, dumpy looking Prime to an IDW style Prime and still keep that combine gimmick. I mean,
that's the kind of stuff that I would be interested in. Stuff that takes a mediocre figure and turns it into an amazing figure. So amazing for what that figure can be, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's fine. Yeah. I mean, there's so much you can polish a turd and still make it still a turd.
For sure.
So, do you think that we need, I'll take the Zeta Bruticus, for example. A lot of people didn't like the chest. So a lot of people had their own chest made, and painted and everything. Do you think that there's a need for third party to have their own add-on or upgrade kits for certain stuff? Like I said, the Bruticus for Zeta.
Like if Zeta was to do upgrade kits for their own combiners?
Well, not just Zeta. I think that would be stupid if Zeta did their own stuff, because then why wouldn't
I absolutely agree.
So I'm talking about a new third-party company just comes along and offers like the chest for the Zeta, or let's see what else, ankles for KFC's Blitzwing, or something to fix his legs and everything, stuff like that. Do you think there would be a need for that stuff?
Go ahead, Dalton.
Personally, I think that would be ridiculous, because you would think the company would do that themselves on a second run or something like that.
That's fine. Yeah, and I said that.
Just seems pointless.
They didn't do that though. With the Zeta Bruticus, they haven't done that. So
I know what you're saying, Matt. I think it would be a good idea for a company, because there is obviously a desire for those upgrades, right? So I think that would be a good idea for a company to start up and do that. Make toys with the those wing fillers that they did for their own.
They should have done that. Yeah, that was stupid.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if a company is to do their own upgrade kits, I mean, it probably just should have been released in the beginning with the figure.
I think they failed in doing that. I bought the Make Toy stuff. I haven't bought the fillers or anything, and but you have to buy. You can buy them separately, or you can buy the cone heads, which I am going to buy the cone heads, and I'm going to get them. But I was already going to buy the cone heads, so the fillers really had nothing to do with me buying those. But if you have to upgrade your own stuff, I think that's not. I guess it's a fail, but maybe they listened to the fandom and said, okay, we should have done this. And I guess that'd be a good reason to upgrade something, or do an update on something like that, like a chest for the Bruticus.
I think upgrade kits for any figures is a good idea, because there's always room for improvement. Like even some of the fans toy stuff that people have been upset with as of late, like the RC stuff, you can get hardware fixes for that. There's some third party company that should be able to do that kind of stuff, and I think with third party collectors specifically, it's a little different, only because you're spending so much on that figure already. You expect it to be perfect. There's a standard. There's a standard that is supposed to be met before you buy it, right? And if the standard's not there, like, would you buy an upgrade kit for an Omnigonix Sunstreaker or Sunway, whatever his name
You
is.
know what? There was one I didn't buy it. It was sent to me with the Crapagonics itself. But no, hell no, I would not buy it. I would not want
I
it.
thought we were gonna say the upgrade kit was Takara
Exactly.
Sunstreaker.
True
Well,
enough.
it was, no, I went, and that's why I've never bought, and that's a good point, Tyler. That's why I've never bought any of the stuff for Combiner Wars or Powder Primes, is because I don't want to spend $50 to upgrade that. I don't. It's not, it's not. I don't want to say it's fine because it's not. Most of the combiners, I like Superion and Bruticus, but Abominus, I just don't want. I don't want to throw in another $50 trying to fix it when it should have been, good already. For the amount I paid for.
I think
I'll be honest. Like if I really want to touch on that Combiner Wars aspect before we get too deep into something else. Most of those kits came with like other pieces, like a new chest piece or a new this piece or a new that piece. When all you really needed were the hands and feet, and more or less the feet than even the hands, because like I didn't mind the hands with the junk hanging off of the knuckles, but it was the feet because there was no rocker there to get something other than completely super crazy like standing on the sides of his feet poses or straight up and down. Where with that rocker that they kind of included, even though it was loose, you still had it. And that's where like I personally still think that these add-on kits are relative and relevant rather.
I think they're
and like
relevant.
even some third-party stuff is gonna need it.
I think they're relevant, but is the market still there for it? Have people lost interest and have people moved
Absolutely.
on? Because you don't see them; they're not nearly as plentiful as they used to be.
That's something before I was cutting out and I was on the crappy mic. We're not seeing the push in the news and the promotion for it. When there's still very much these kits coming out from various places. It's just because it's not a masterpiece figure or maybe even not even a masterpiece accessory, we're not seeing it, or if it's not coming from insert one of only 3 companies that anyone wants to cover anymore. We're not seeing it in the
okay.
In the cycle.
So the market's there. It's just not being
pushed.
Not being pushed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's not being pushed because, man, I'm always seeing something, and not just Shapeways stuff, but you got a bunch of these other like smaller startups, and I don't want to call them startups because like Renderform is a heavy hitting name out there for upgrade kits, heads and weapons and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's just you're not seeing the main news sites or Dame Chalk posting about Renderform when I know he's doing stuff right now. And I know, and even the same, like he'll collaborate with repro labels, every now and again too, but you're just not seeing that push. Like they did the Deathsaurus for Transformers Prime, whatever, back in 2014 or something like that. And they even did, the Thunderclash, kit for the all white C-Dubs Prime. And like that was, granted that was what, 3 or 4 years ago. Or 4 or 5 years ago, but there's still that stuff coming out. I just don't think we're being exposed to it like we were, because now it's masterpiece scale, legend scale, like that's and full figures. That's all, like that's what's getting the most clicks in my opinion, opposed to an upgrade kit. Like we see stuff from Shockwave's lab all the time. And for Chug stuff, and it could be for older figures, and that the Shockwave's lab just isn't getting around to newer figures, but Shockwave's lab is doing stuff for older figures, Chug figures, vintage figures, masterpiece figures. So the market's still very much alive and it's still very much moving. I just don't think it's getting the exposure.
And I think some of those kits are really hard to find sometimes too. Some of them sell out pretty.
Small runs. Small runs.
See, that's where I want to interject real quick, is there's a newer company, or it feels new to me because no one's covering it. It's this guy, he's doing it out of his garage basically. Deep Space Arsenal. He's been doing stuff for Powder Primes and now for Siege. Like he's doing weapon upgrades. He's doing a trailer for the Siege Prime, a howitzer cannon for Hound. I mean, some of it's not kind of unnecessary, but it's cool and it completes these figures.
And I wonder, because it's, even though it is a garage kit, like I've seen some garage kits come out that were incredible.
Yeah.
Like with great quality and you know what I mean. Like I think for the most part, like I don't know, like don't quote me. I haven't asked him about it, but I don't think render form stuff comes out of a factory.
I'm gonna write it down. Hold on.
I just but I don't think he gets any like steel tooling made for his pieces. I think, and again, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, by all means, someone can correct me and I'll take that. But I want to say that's all just done very well with very high quality materials. And he might, I know that Master Shooter, I think he did get his stuff done out of a factory, but it was like a tail end thing. It wasn't, like he had to basically piggyback off of somebody else's run, and they were okay with it. And he footed the cost for all that for a couple of releases. I think other than that, that was also like a garage type thing. And I think I want to say Shockwave's Lab is a garage kit thing. Like some of that stuff just looks like garage kits, like the Cheetor tail weapon and the Rat Trap gun. The fact that they had white handles, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's a telltale sign of this person cast all of this in their garage or their workspace or whatever, and they painted it themselves and they released it. And I just don't think that's getting the coverage that it should be getting, because it's not always it's not always Masterpiece, or it's not always Legends. There's I think Zeta came out recently with the Decepticon bar that's takes a lot of cues from like the bar stools and the More Than Meets the Eye comic. There's just a lot of IDW cues that it takes.
The throne, and stuff.
And it came with a throne. So like I think that and I do want to say that got covered, but I know that came out of a factory.
Well, let me circle back for a second, and I think the reason some of these things don't get covered is because whoever is doing a lot of this coverage, and I'm not trying to paint anyone as a bad guy or nothing, but it could be that third-party upgrade kits are of no interest to certain people who cover that sort of news, especially such low-ticket items that almost seem like they don't need to be made, but it's just like a fun thing. Whereas the Combiner Wars stuff really was kind of groundbreaking for the Combiner Wars combiners, because the hands and feet that came with it were trash. You know what I mean? The official stuff. And I kind of want to touch on what you said there, Matt, about how you can only polish a turd so much and you don't want to invest too much money in that. But I found with the combiners from Combiner Wars, putting the money into them, with the two perfect effect, with the Bruticus, I had both of them. I had the Hasbro one and the Takara one, the Unite Warriors one. Mm-hmm. And I got the Transform Dreamwave for the Takara one, and I got the perfect effect for the Hasbro one. I got both of them, which came with a new head, better guns for the backpack, hands and feet. That was perfect effect. And then the Transform Dreamwave one came with the chest, the hands, the feet, and I think it was thigh extenders to make his thighs a little bigger, but you could turn them, and guns for the back as well. And I think it all depends on what those figures are worth to you and what kind of display you want out of those figures. A lot of people don't want to go in too heavy on third-party stuff because it can get pricey. If you're getting away from Legends, it can get very pricey, $100 a figure, $200 a figure.
Even Legends figures are pricey, compared.
But to go off on that, Tyler, you said you're putting $50 here, $50 there. You're almost paying what a third party would be, though.
But the question is there
when it comes to combiners, because with
is there an
combiners,
alternative?
With combiners, you spend, with the Combiner War specifically, you spend $20. We'll say $20, $15, $20 for the
105 for 5.
$105.
105 for 5. and then you pay $50 for the upgrade kit. You spent $150 on a full chug scale combiner
That's
instead of
That's
paying.
a torso bot.
That's well. That no, what I'm saying, like what I want to say is that's half of what the Fans Project Minosaur cost.
But that's
So I think
that's
the
what I'm
thing was-
saying. So
yeah.
the cost is
That's
relative.
2x
then.
transbots. That's 2x transbots right there. You almost 3. I'm sorry. That's almost 3x transbots.
Right, but those aren't
Right,
chug.
but you have a full combiner that's chug scale, or you have 2 or 3
Okay.
masterpiece
Okay.
scale combiners, right? And for
Okay.
chug collectors, the polishing a turd, as you put it, could be worth it to them
Yeah,
because
that's true.
they're a
That's true.
chug. They scales with what they collect, right?
Got you. No, yeah, that
And
is
it's-
perfectly true. If whatever you, like I just said, if whatever makes you happy, that's why you collect.
So I would
Right.
like to kind of talk about like the ugly side of upgrade kits.
Well, first,
Like
before
when-
we say that, Lance K said X2 Toys and Shadowfisher were also some bigger upgrade companies too.
Shadowfisher, that's the only one that I didn't actually go in on because I didn't like the way the chest looked. But I
Yeah.
did like that was the Shadowfisher was for the Revenge of the Fallen Bruticus.
Yeah.
And I think it actually tacked on to the Fans Project one.
I think so. Yeah.
Sorry, Dakota, you go on, Dakota. I'm sorry.
But like I wanted to get into like the one time I've had just a bad experience with an upgrade kit, and that was the Beelzebub Optimus Prime. It was a kit that was meant to make C-Dub's Prime look more like he did in the kind of current IDW landscape at that time.
Okay.
And like there was a Primo Vitalis kit which had an earlier version of that IDW Prime, and I skipped on it
Love
because
it.
I wanted more current stuff, right? And I got that Beelzebub kit, and Beelzebub is kind of spotty. Like sometimes you'll get something good, or maybe
Heroic
like
duo.
you better watch out like in terms of like screwing and unscrewing those screws because they can they do use cheaper material, and that's just the honest truth of it.
Mhm.
But mine, one of the like the way like one of the little add-on pieces, and it was fully transformable, but some of them didn't stick. And then, but that's fine. Usually, I don't care about that. I can just pop whatever popped off back on. But the thing that killed it was there's a little piece attached to a ball joint, like a little armature, and it just broke at the stem.
Oh,
And it wasn't, and I can usually fix stuff like that, but it was basically unfixable, irreparable. And that's kind of the ugly side of these upgrade kits, because now like I wasted like $50 or $60, I think that kit was, because it was a decent sized kit. It was one of the bigger kits that Beelzebub had did, because usually they just did accessories. They never really did, like the upgrade game. Like they made hands and little shield things for Trailbreaker, and they made a suitcase for Brainstorm and a new head
I
for
remember that. Okay, yeah.
Night Beat. Yeah. So
Mhm.
like that's that's kind of the nitty gritty of it, and that's where it's just like, well, now I have this the C-Dubs Prime that I can sell for whatever $50 or $60 is what it's going for now, or more, I think, because of these, at least the other add-on kit, the Primo Vitalis. But even then, that one, the paint chips. So it's like, like, do I get another $50 or $60 add-on kit? Which they both cost the same. It was just the Primo Vitalis you get more, just for what it's worth. But do I want to drop another $50 or $60 on something that I'm going to have to essentially repair? Granted, the one that I have now is I can't repair. So it's
Good point.
that I think is something that is going to hurt that add-on kit market for chug stuff. You know what I mean?
Is if they don't do it right the first time.
Yes.
Like
And
hands and feet aren't hard to do. You're absolutely right. But doing like full-on add-on kits for full figures. Well, look at the DNA design upgrade kit for the. You actually got it, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. I got both of them.
What would you rate that? Just real quick.
Okay. To in all fairness, for the regular optimal Optimus colors, I would rate that like a 7 out of 10. And it's only because the figure itself isn't stable enough for that much heavy stuff that you put on it.
Okay.
For the Throne of the Primes version, I would rate it a 5 out of 10, because like the guns, instead of being cast in a different plastic color, but again, molding sprues and things like that, they were painted gold, but that gold paint was just it didn't have a coat on it. It peeled super easily, because whenever I put them in those hands, the new hands, and
just sloughed
then I
off.
took them out, it just peeled a layer of the paint off of the rifle. And like the whole reason I got that kit, was because he had them bling bling rifles.
Right.
So
That sucks.
yeah, I mean it really does. So like I ended up giving the hands to Chris because the stock hands were fine enough, and yeah, man, it was just the throne version definitely a 5. So I guess overall like an average would just be a 6 out of 10. It could be, it could have been better. It definitely could have been better. And again, there was a lot of parts forming. I feel like if they would have just put more into replacing the small primal altogether, to where it wouldn't have had the parts form or anything like that.
Honestly, I figured that would be a no fucking brainer. I figured that's the way people would go towards it instead of trying to make Optimal Optimus look.
Trying to implement into the part that is essentially the problem with the toy from the get-go. Because there's no way to really make that wheel work out. That wheel, there's a lot of parts forming, and that's a turn-off to some people. To me, it's not. I'm not going to deduct points for parts forming.
I like parts forming. Especially combiners. I love parts forming.
I think it makes the most sense with combiners.
Yeah, but for what's essentially supposed to be a full figure with 4 modes, granted that's integrated into the design is the fact that the smaller backpack piece has to pop off. But I feel like it's something they could have implemented to where it could have had a built-in rotation joint or something where it was permanently affixed, and you still could have gotten everything you needed to get out of it. You didn't need to, utilize parts of the figure that really shouldn't have even been there to begin with. But a lot of it has to do with again, the base figure, because it was so light and because it had friction hinges everywhere, where it would have benefited. Like that kit would have been an 8 or a 9 out of 10 if the base figure had ratchets in some places, because he can easily lean forward and topple over, or lean back and topple backwards because of all that weight, all that top heaviness. Maybe if they would have made it from a lighter material, I don't know.
Well, I want to say thank y'all for the 3 people that come in and watch this. This is awesome. Lance Scatter Fisher made a great kit for the MP10. What was the?
Yeah, I saw that they did. It basically shortened his arms. And he got some more kibble on there, but it shortened his arms so it didn't have the gorilla arms hanging down past his knees.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And you said there's upgrade kits for Metroplex and Fort Max were great. Yeah, I think the feet, new feet they gave them.
Yeah, the DNA,
everything. I think that would have been. Yeah, I wish I would have got in on those. I wouldn't mind to upgrade those. The Metroplex and the Fort Max. I would have got the ankles, whatever, so he could have a rocker and everything. I think that would.
Yeah, and see, I think those kits from DNA would work out great for Metro or Fort Max, and I think I want to, I think their Predaking upgrade.
That looks beautiful.
Was good too, but then again, that Predaking, but that Predaking also has a lot of ratchets that can fall back on. So, to judge them off of just the Optimal Optimus upgrade. That's not fair. It really is. Granted, that's the only kit that I'm going to own by them because I don't own those other 2 figures. But
I never got a Predator King. I wish I never saw him in stores, and I just never ordered one. I wish I would have got one, but.
Well, if he shows up in Ollie's for $40, you can definitely put me down for one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I'll definitely get one for it. I didn't want to pay. What was it? $150? I think. Dalton, you probably got one, don't you?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
I think Amazon had a
140.
sale.
Okay. Yeah, if Amazon has them on sale, if they had them for $50-$60, I'd definitely pick them up. I wouldn't mind that at all.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Matt, because I'm pretty sure you're not with the KO market, right?
No.
I think a lot of us here aren't really supporters of the KO market.
Right.
Would you not rather people go with upgrade kits than KO?
Definitely.
Instead of because they say you can only polish a turd, but instead of what I mean, with the combiners and stuff like that, I think it'd be better to polish the turd instead of buying than buying the in a lot of cases these third-party companies will go above and beyond and fix a lot of the quality problems for these figures, and at the stupid low price that they do it. But
knockoffs do that too. I've heard a lot of, I don't collect knockoffs, but a lot
that's
of
what I'm saying. The KO market does that.
yeah, a lot of the knockoffs, they say they make them better ratchets, better paint, better something less and everything. And that's fine.
And except for that Dinobot, that infinite transformation, that thing looks
you mean
garbage.
Dalton's getting? I think he's getting like a couple.
Dalton's getting like 3
No,
of
I'm
them
not.
Yeah.
for all
Dude,
the clones.
that paint looks so like it looks almost cartoony. Like it's not. You can tell it's definitely not the digital print, and it's
Right.
instead a paint application, and it shows. And it's like I'm glad we got digital print on the official. But something that KO companies will also do while we're on the subject of it is they will knock off the add-on kit with the official figure. And they'll include it like that's what Infinite Transformation did with the MP36. Everyone's talking about how they made the backpack so great and the arm cannon with the Frank Welker chip. It's like, well, that was from
Mod fans.
Mod fans, yeah. That was their stuff. So that's hurting two markets. That's not only hurting official, but that's also hurting what's essentially again another smaller startup third party that's looking into upgrade and accessorize.
Would y'all be interested, just talking about the voice chips and everything, would you be interested in more of that happening, like voice chips and light up features, from other third party companies to?
I would be more interested in light up features because I love light up features. Voice chips, I can take them or leave them. Having the Japanese voice chips. Having the Japanese voice chips is fine. I don't need to have David K's voice, and it would be impossible to replace the voice chip in the speaker. I just don't need to have it. But the voice chips, the voice chip thing though, it's just like it's nice when it's there. If it's English or Japanese or whatever, it's fine. But I like there's a dude on Facebook, like Pastor Robin, I think is his name, and he modifies all of his masterpieces and he puts LEDs in them. Dude, check that dude out. He's got a Facebook page.
The Sunstreaker he did.
He's done all of them. He's put LEDs in all of them. He did Sunstreaker and Sideswipe, and he's done MP10. He's done several where the headlights are. He'll put LEDs in there and in the behind the eyes and stuff like that. The dude does incredible work. Now that's very custom heavy. That's a lot of cutting and everything that a lot of normal people just probably aren't going to be in for. Yeah. But as far as stuff like with what Shockwave's lab is doing with Fort Max, the LED pieces that they're doing for that, and they've done a few others. I would love to see some more of that. Honestly, I'd love to see play sets or display sets, I should say. That's what I really want to see. We were kind of talking about that earlier on Cybercast Deluxe. The next big, what Hasbro could do for Transformers for the HasLabs thing. And, everyone's like Unicron. I'm like, no, man, give us an arc with Teletrain 1 or the Nemesis. And that also would appeal to me as a Beast Wars fan, like I said, but different things like that, I
don't think overall though. I mean, it would be good for you, but I think overall, people will want a Unicron before they want an arc or a Nemesis, to be honest.
Maybe. I'll give you a maybe. Because that Amazon Unicron, the 25th, I think that Armada mold in those G1 colors, I think that's still such a perfect Unicron. I'm talking about bigger. I'm talking about bigger, maybe Metro Fort Max size, or
even bigger.
Possibly. I mean, I'll definitely give it to you, possibly. Yeah. But I don't I feel like that's something that would constitute its own Titan class release anyways due to the popularity.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
Where HasLabs it seems to be that niche thing. You had Jabba's sail barge, which was essentially just a display set. Right. And I feel like that's something, especially working with Chug scale, because they're not going to do that for MP. They're going to do that. And that sail barge was 3 3/4 inch scale.
Oh, dude, it wasn't. If they did the Nemesis and the the arc, whatever, that'd be perfect for Legends.
Mm-hmm. It'd be perfect for Chug. Even Chug. You can even get it to fit with Chug.
Yeah.
And I know that I would use. I would have to rework my entire Beast Wars display because I would want to put my season 3 characters in those displays. It's essentially it can be limitless with that, but there's these display options are becoming a huge thing too, in terms of like, what you want to call the third party game. As like it's essentially an add-on for all your figures at once instead of add-ons for individual figures.
Well,
And I think Zeta was like they're on the cusp by making that legend scale bar. And I was hoping that I would see it upsized to utilize with chug stuff, because like, you could essentially have swerves as a display, and it would cost you, 150, $200 if you wanted the full bar, right?
yeah.
And that would be so cool. And
What about the bridge? What about the bridge? The
talking about the Bridge of the Lost Light?
no. The
Axelon?
no. G1.
The Arc?
No, the bridge where they teleported from. They teleported from Earth to Cybertron.
Oh yeah,
The Space Bridge.
Space bridge. God damn, I can't even think of it. Not cuss. No cussing. Jeebus. Y'all got me cussing on here. Yeah, the space bridge. I think the space bridge would be a good set that people would love. I mean, because there was I want to say iconic, scenes in G1. With Blitzwing, you could Blitzwing, Astro Train, Megatron, all your Decepticons around that. I think that'd be a good display.
Something else I want to kind of touch on though is like price. Because like I'll be honest, man, and I'm not really one to hide how I feel about the fandom when it comes to what things cost.
No.
Transformers is poor man's robots, it seems. And I'm not saying that like that's what Transformers is. It's just that I feel is the way the fandom perceives Transformers, because everyone's always complaining about price, and like even at a Chug or a Masterpiece scale Space Bridge, like who would be willing to pay what it would realistically cost for either a company or a garage kit person to make one of these things and sell these? Like I was thinking about I saw somebody made the bathtub for the Masterpiece Megatron, and it was a lot of 3D printed pieces and some hand sculpted pieces mixed in with it. But it's like I was like, if I were to make that, if I were to make that, do you know what I would have just to reproduce, I should say? Do you know what casting the mold out of that silicone rubber? Do you know what that would cost to do that? Yes. So you would have to hope that you have to. Okay, so if you're going to move 50 units, you're looking at you're looking at if and that's like I said, 50 units. You're looking at $5 a piece. That of your overall price. That's essentially gonna be molding. $5 of that price is gonna be molding. Now let's talk about plastic. Like you're probably looking at maybe $25 to $50 in just materials to use to do that cast, and then paint. So who would spend profit margins? Who would spend profit margins to spend $75 to $100 on that bathtub? I would probably pick it up because I'm a Beast Wars fan, but I'm one guy. I'm not 50. And I know that this guy's got to make a profit for the time that he put into it.
Yeah, and like I said, space. Who is going to buy that stuff? Where are you going to put it? Like, I wouldn't have anywhere to put it. And not most people that have collections like that would have just a single spot for a big Megatron and a big bathtub, because that bathtub's going to have to be pretty big because that Megatron's pretty big. So
that's the difference. That's the difference between upgrades, add-ons, and accessories. So what you're talking there is an accessory. The bathtub,
right?
That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? It's I was mainly talking about like upgrade kits to fix parts of the figure that are subpar to make it a figure you could be proud of owning, right?
Right, but I think the landscape we're in now, upgrades and accessories are hand in hand, and a lot of people I think that's going to be the future of quote unquote upgrade kits, is going to be these external accessories. These accessories that maybe don't fix the figure, but it's something that they can interact with. I think that's going to be the future of it.
More of an aesthetic thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're still gonna get weapons, and we're still gonna get the something that fixes something. Like I still think we're gonna get that kind of stuff too, but I think the game is gonna change to where it's gonna be these extra pieces, these interactable like things.
I think, like you're saying, I think we're just gonna get add-on pieces that remember an iconic scene that brings us back to that scene. Just like you said, the bathtub, the rubber ducky from Beast Wars. Like I said, the space bridge. The Nemesis or the arcing thing. It's gonna be where you remember a time. Like, do I really want to? For me, would I want a bathtub for Megatron? No. You would. Dalton probably and Tyler would definitely probably want one also.
No, I'm out on that.
Okay. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
well, I'm just saying, most people that get these add-on stuff, the to add on, not to maybe fix the Transformer, but just to enhance it, I guess, are only doing it because I think maybe it reminds them of a time when they saw the cartoon.
Yeah, and see, that's another thing. Like with my vintage Beast Wars and even like my Chug stuff, they're all in A Stance City. My Masterpiece stuff, I plan on having an actual special display for that. And I know we're mostly focusing on the Chug aspect, but there's even like if something came along where I could display my vintage Beast Wars in a way like that, if I had the space for it, let's say, because having a full run of Beast Wars toys, there's not a whole lot of space I'm working with. But if I had that, if something were to happen where I did have that space, like I would have to look at what can I put in these detolfs. Other than like knickknacks and Gundam kits, I guess. But
Paddywhack, give a dog a bone.
But it's like I think that's gonna be like that's at least the way I'm looking at it now. Like Chug stuff, accessory or a better piece to like function and utilize. Like yes, like that's still fine for the average Chug display because most Chug displays are very packed. Because there's a lot out there, and that's fine. Like I'm not gonna shame about because I mean you guys have seen my shelves, but for my Masterpiece stuff, so something like a Space Bridge or a Teletrain one, like that's the display I want, roomy and where there's things that are interacting and where I can essentially on a shelf play out 2 or 3 different scenes from 2 or 3 different episodes. They may not all connect, but they're there as the display.
Yeah. Tyler, did we kind of answer your question? I hope within all that rambling, did we or something?
I think so. I mean, there's obviously still a desire for third party add-on kits and upgrades, and apparently displays as well. I just don't. My struggle has always been seeing where the market is because I just don't see it. And I guess it's because for whatever reason, I guess it's being suppressed or it's just there's not much interest in promoting it. Honestly, I don't know.
I think it's suppression. I think it's suppression and ignorance. Like I'm kind of with you. I'm not gonna put on my tinfoil hat just yet, even though that's what I like to do. But I would say like what's in it for these news sites to promote this upstart accessory or add-on company where they get more clicks on images of Fans Project Robot Mode or Mastermind Creations this thing, or you know what I mean, or like that. Like they're going to get more clicks and more views on that, and like that's ultimately what it comes down to, and that sucks as because like it wasn't like that really. It's always been about clicks, but not how it is now.
You know what I think that somebody needs to come in and do something for is Legends. Do a third-party upgrade kits for Legends right now. Since Legends is really hot right now, they could really do some stuff, to be honest. I think that. And Lance K, he wants to know, would y'all like to see a Beast Wars, MP Beast Wars Ravage?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Without a question.
I think if any MP, I think they would want to see anything in MP Beast Wars, to be honest.
Masterpiece Beast Wars is kind of what we're in for. So
and like especially if they showed up in the show. I mean that's what we're just like G1 fans, like we want our show characters, all of them. Tyler may be out at a transmutate, but I'm in for a transmutate.
I'd be in for a transmutate. My thing is the completion aspect. Are they going to complete all the transmetals? Are they going to complete the fusors and the transmetal 2s? We're barely going not barely. We're just now seeing them do the season 1 characters. And are they going to stop at just show characters, or are they going to continue with Beast Wars Second, Beast Wars Neo, or just even the toy line? I
Right.
want to know what the direction for Beast Wars Masterpiece is before I go all in on, leaps and bounds ahead of what we're getting right now, which is a different season of Beast Wars.
Well, that's a
I
good
want to
point.
complete season 1 to know and see them start season 2 to know that there's a
Future.
reason to go in on season 2.
I think scale. I think overall scale is what is why they're not going to do season 2, and the fact that half of the series was season 1 bodies and the other half was split between seasons 2 and 3. I do think though, like I'm with you. I want to see season 1 full and complete before they do anything else. But I would like to see them focus on the 2 Japanese series, because those are. That was where it was more cell animation, and for the most part, some of those toys are accurate to how they appeared, but there's also some aspects of them that aren't that accurate. So,
And see, I would like to see third party take a crack at some of those Japanese Beast Wars figures. You know what I mean? Give us a Magmatron.
Ooh.
Could you imagine a third party Magmatron?
Let me put this out about the Beast Wars thing. We with the G1 stuff. MP started off with G1. We thought we was gonna get everything, and look where we're at now. I don't think we're gonna get that deep into Beast Wars, to be honest.
I feel, but that's the thing. I think that the G1 MP line has changed gears, and that's why you're seeing this shift, and you're not seeing as much. And of course, you're dealing with licenses, and you're gonna continue to have to deal with licenses when it comes to the G1 stuff. But if you look, like they're moving forward with it. And they're in this focus on cartoon aesthetic, and that's why you're seeing some changes.
If I may, I think the reason why they're making the shift to cartoon aesthetic instead of going the way that they were going is so that they don't have to worry about licenses anymore, so they can continue to make the G1, the G1 bots and the characters and stuff tune accurate without having to go after the licenses, and just kind of continue forward without worrying about any hiccups down the line. What I think is, if I may derail a little bit, Matt, here, but what I think will be telling as far as Masterpiece goes and the future of the G1 Masterpiece is how this Hound is going to sell. Because if this Hound doesn't sell, and you keep in mind, Takara has kind of realigned, or not realigned, but just kind of revamped their shop. They're doing Masterpiece completely different now. The Sunstreaker was leaps and bounds better than the one that came before that, and the Beast Wars have always been top shelf material, bar none. And going forward, if they don't replace, if collectors will not replace their current Hound, being I'm assuming fans' toys, with Takara stuff, like how they've been replacing everything else with Takara stuff. I think if the lack of interest is there with Hound and some of the other G1 stuff that they're coming out with, they may, and this is just my opinion, but I feel like they may give up on that entirely and start moving in a new direction for different lines like Armada, because we're already seeing Armada and Cybertron trickle into the Generation stuff. We may see them try and do a Masterpiece treatment of different lines and give other lines a crack at the Masterpiece treatment.
Let me move laterally to you, Tyler. I think they will focus on their Japanese exclusive stuff, like they did the Star Saber, and that thing's on its like 3rd or 4th re-release now. It's been steady moving. So I think they're gonna want to. They may, like I said, shift laterally because there are no licenses to be had with. Master Force, Victory, and even Headmasters, because that was all space stuff and future stuff. Where I still think that season 3 maybe seems to not sell for. I don't know about that because I like season 3 G1 more than season 1 and 2. And they've done the Hot Rod license for that. They've done the Hot Rod and the Ultra Magnus. I just don't know if they think that Galvatron, Cyclonus, Scourge, because that was kind of the downswing of G1 historically, right? That's when the movie came out and Optimus Prime died, and that's where the brand started to take the dive that it took. But as far as the Japanese G1 stuff, like I said, I think we'll start to see more along the lines of those Japanese exclusive characters and stuff like that. I think that's where we'll see
Do
that come
you
into play.
do you think that well, and what you were saying, Tyler, about the Hound, if it does good, what about Prime? This one's a
Yeah,
big
that
one.
too.
That's a
Well,
big
okay,
one
so
that's coming up.
the Prime's a different thing entirely, I think, because Prime
He's a
like
main character.
no, not exactly. That's not what I was going to say.
No.
Prime is one of those staple characters. He's very iconic. He's like, the Bumblebee, Megatron, Optimus Prime.
He
Who do you
always
think
he
of
always
when you
sells
think of
well.
Transformers?
Yeah,
You
Optimus
know what I
Prime.
mean?
He always sells well. I mean, that's why they
Right,
do. Why they put out so many MP10s. That's why they put out all these other
right.
stuff. And Prime is always going to be in your line at all. Yeah,
Absolutely. He's the front runner.
yeah.
Mhm.
And to kind of piggyback off what you guys talk, I'll be honest, I'm a fan of SCU. To piggyback off what you guys talked about a couple times, I guess, is Prime is the household name. There is no way that they will never do another Prime. That's the reason that this Prime, I believe, is as pricey as it is because they're trying to deliver the most superior product that they've ever put out, and they're going to do that with their flagship Captain
Yeah, that's true.
as far as Transformers goes.
Yeah,
But it'll be interesting to see if the market will bite at that price. If the market will say this is worth it, or that Optimus Prime is not worth that buck.
Well, could that be a double-edged sword also? Because if it does well, they're like, well, hell, we could actually bump up the price for another $50.
I mean, they've already done it. They've already done it. And if this masterpiece Optimus Prime is coming out with the trailer, I'm not sure. I don't keep up with the G1 stuff. But if he is coming out with the trailer and all these different display options, I understand why the price is so high, and I understand the frustration as well. But they've already done it. Look at Megatron. Megatron retail price was what, $325, $330. Dinobot was $250. Cheetor was $70, $80. You know what I mean? That's a huge leap from Cheetor to Dinobot, and Dinobot being $250, and then Megatron being $330. Now Prime is
440.
$440. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can't just keep. I think they know that they can't just keep going up and up and up in the price because eventually the dam will break, and everything that they built will flood.
I don't, and that's something I would like to touch on is. I know we're way off topic now, but when we're talking
We've been
price,
on
I
topic all night,
think with this whole price thing, I don't think it's more or less just like let's just jack it up another 20%. I think when they make something, they have in mind what their profit margin has to be, and I don't feel that increases or decreases. Now, I feel like with an influx of interest, then yes, you will see an ever so slight price increase. But a lot of people are thinking that this is just them testing the market for price gouging. I don't believe that. If that's the case, then Perfect Grade Gundams would be $1,000. You know what I mean? So like that's just like there's these other companies here to keep checks and balances, and not just third party, but within that official realm. Because you're looking at high, essentially like Takara's like, this is our high end product, this is our top shelf thing. They were like, if you want a good quality thing as a toy or display piece, buy the Generations. If you want top shelf, like champagne quality, whatever, you're gonna get our masterpiece, because they want to be there with Soul Chagok and Bandai's Metal Build and Hot Toys. And
Rogue War actually said, yeah, these are a hot toy process. Basically what this Prime is.
Right,
and
because this is their equivalency to a Hot Toys piece.
But look at who they're competing with. They're competing with a third party that is ever growing, ever evolving, ever changing. Look at Fans Toys. Hardly any company in Masterpiece, aside from Takara, can compete with Fans Toys. And this actually does kind of go into the third-party upgrade kits and stuff, and if there's a market for it. Because when it comes to Masterpiece, I don't believe so. I don't believe there is a market for third-party upgrade kits in the Masterpiece line.
Beyond accessories.
Beyond accessories, because the quality has gone through the roof from when third-party started. Fans Toys puts out a superior product. You can't argue it. X-Transbots is climbing up that ladder as well. They're, I don't know if they're, I can't really speak on much of that. I've never owned one, but from what I've seen, from what I've heard.
But yes, I was going to say, I own the newer stuff, Absolutely. It's
It's
I'm
it's
not
getting up there, right?
I'm not ducking it off with, like trying to
Right.
hide it in the display or whatever.
I believe that the price you're paying for a masterpiece figure, or for fans toys, or for X Transbot, whichever the price for these figures are, that is the cost of doing business. Because now they're making it so that you do not require an upgrade kit. They're putting out a superior product right out the gate.
That's a good point.
Someone
That's
help
what they're
me.
thriving
Someone
for.
real quick. Somebody help me because I can't remember what I paid for them. But the X Transbots, the 2 cars that are out right now, they're like $80, right?
70 for
the
Crack Up and
Okay,
80 for the other.
Okay, so let's just go, I want to say crack up was actually a pricing error that didn't get fixed or whatever. If that's what I remember reading.
Well, because
they put it out cheap.
The regular ones were, I remember Agabus had it for $40 for
so
Crack
let's say 75 then, which is that's I'm just looking at it like it's simpler. It's simpler than Sunstreaker, right? But it's probably along the same lines of engineering and parts count and stuff like that as Sideswipe, which is
or even Wheeljack,
which they were about what, $75-$80?
Mm-hmm.
Right around there, yeah.
So you're looking at this like you compare those two, like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people want to say, oh well, third party's cheaper, blah blah blah. But if you look at like the level of engineering that we have in this, just basing it off of those, like I would pay $75 for that Takara piece, but I'm also paying it for this X Transbots piece.
Right. But okay, so the reason. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I was like, could you imagine trying to if Fan Toys came out of the product and then a third party had to do an upgrade kit? Do you know how mad? Because you're paying top quality dollars for a Fan Toys. Usually everything. Could you imagine the fandom with how mad they would be if you had to actually buy an upgrade?
Absolutely, and that's kind of what I wanted to touch on there, because now Takara is competing with there's no doubt in my mind Takara is actually competing with these third party companies now. So they're putting out a top quality product. No, I believe they are, because they're trying to get ahead of the game. There's a reason they haven't shut them down, and that's because competition is healthy. This is my personal opinion only. There's no fact to it, just what I think. But the reason they haven't shut them down is because competition is healthy. It's keeping the brand alive. Takara is now in competition with these third-party companies that collectors, the masterpiece collectors, are loving. They're buying them all up. So when Takara steps up to the plate, they always have to hit a home run. And in order for them to hit a home run, you have to pay the cost of doing business. You have to pay that top dollar. And they have to be able to say they are the top slugger in the batting cage. You know what I'm saying?
And right now they can. Like, if we're being honest.
Absolutely they can. I mean, the competition's there, and Takara is winning hands down.
Yeah, because you let's say Takara right now announced a Masterpiece Devastator. Do you know how many portable Devastators would be on the boards?
Absolutely.
Every time you see them,
every single original and repaint. So we're talking about maybe 100,000.
I remember when Megatron MP36 came out at TFCon. There was a TFCon 2 or 3 years ago, and they announced MP Megatron. You know how many
Apollons and Despotrons.
You know how many were on the board? Everybody
as far as the eye could see.
That was the talk of the TFCon, a third party, kind of convention. It's not all third party, but a third party convention. That was all the talk was that MP Megatron. So when when Daddy comes home, they know what happens. They know.
When Daddy gets that belt out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was going to happen. So, but to be fair, Fans Toys, like you said, can't compete with Takara because they do put out a great product.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think a lot of people have sold their Takara stuff just to get Fans Toy stuff.
That's the thing. Like, I wanted to talk about that hot rod, because I feel like the people that I've seen people that did get that Fans Toys hot rod and were disappointed, and they were actually kind of upset with themselves for selling their Takara hot rod. And again, you're also looking at a toy that was made. That hot rod came out in what, 15 or 16?
Yeah, give or take.
And the Fans Toys one came. We're looking at 3-4 year time gap. And the Fans Toys one still, from an engineering standpoint, doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it just doesn't.
Let me interject with Ferguson 19 said he disagrees. MP needs upgrades and more accessories to make it comparable to third parties, aka articulated hands, light up eyes.
I would
already seeing
respectfully.
that.
The thing is, I would respectfully disagree with articulated hands. It's not. I mean, it's for some people. It's not for everybody. It's definitely not for me.
It's not necessary.
I don't need a
I think
splayed hand.
I think it's a subjective thing for sure. Like if you want it and you love it, by all means, and I'm right there for you, you know. But I don't think it's for everybody.
Yeah,
And I wouldn't say it's. I also wouldn't say it's necessary. But and then like that's something like if we want to look back at like earlier MPs, like going back to Hot Rod, he had the pizza cutter, he had the fishing pole, and that's all he needed. Honestly, that's all he needed. Sideswipe, he only had the pile drivers. Where that company that made that jetpack, they were onto something, right? Because he should have come with that jetpack. Wheeljack, I feel like you could have a whole slew of accessories to go.
All it needed was the immobilizer.
Well, more than that, because Wheeljack was always had some kind of whatever. But I think the immobilizer came with exhaust, didn't it?
Well, yeah, but the plus version came with the immobilizer.
Okay, either way, but I still feel like there's still several upgrade kits that you could, accessories, whatever that you could give to Wheeljack. MP Grimlock came with the Japanese version, at least, came with the tray, the little apron, and the helmet for where he made Computron. That so it's been spotty. Let's just say it's been spotty, but like let's go to Masterpiece Beast Wars Megatron. I can't think of any more accessories for him to come within reason. I just can't. Like we were trying to brainstorm it. Like I guess like a $80 command chair. You know what I mean? Because that's what it would cost realistically.
and really, all that stuff you're going to put in the box anyways most of the time. So do you really need it?
Yeah,
and that's the thing
he's already
too.
coming
Like,
with, yeah.
Is it really an upgrade if it's sitting in the box? Upgrade kits to me don't sit in the box. They upgrade and enhance your figures.
It's an add-on. I think most of the stuff that Beast Wars Megatron came with was an add-on. It wasn't an upgrade.
Yeah, they were all just accessories. Like it was just you're looking at different faces and then whatever, blah blah blah. All the Beast Wars stuff is kind of different faces.
With that, I really want that. I want different head sculpts. That's especially for somebody that takes photographs.
That is where I would say
that's a must.
That is where I would say a third-party company doing upgrade kits could shine through for Masterpiece is different head sculpts, different different expressions too. You know what I'm saying? Like because a lot of Takara's always been pretty good on their head sculpt game, but like third-party stuff, like you could do third-party upgrade kits for other third-party figures.
Definitely.
Like for head sculpts and shit like that, or articulated hands. Articulated hands is very subjective, I find. Because personally, I don't care one way or another. I'm fine with the 5mm peg or whatever the hand needs to be for Masterpiece too. But like, I'm fine with that because it's still an action figure. You know what I'm saying? I don't need it to be Hot Toys. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what
swappable. They do like swappable like pre-post hands. I don't need that either, Tyler.
I like that.
I mean, like I said, more power to people who are into that stuff. It's just like as far as like the hands go. They're either, relaxed, clenched fist, or holding a weapon, and the stock hands can do that. Enough, in my opinion. Even with typewriter fingers, like I can still get what I want out of all that. So,
true. Well, I think we've been on for a while. I want to say thank you very much, the three people on my panel. It was an honor to have you on again, and I hope we can do this again because it really brought up some good, points and everything. And, we spoke well. We didn't pick on Dalton that much, and that was,
true.
A win, in my book, So thank y'all very much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having us, man. Anytime.
Thanks for having us, man.
And I love it. I love y'all guys like step cousins, man. And I want to thank everybody that came in and watched us. I really appreciate that. I really, the love from y'all I get is, it feeds my soul and everything other than Tyler feeding my soul every day. Bring me back to reality. Tyler does that all the time. And I really appreciate that, man. So anyway, thank y'all so much. And go down and hit that like button and everything. Tell everybody where everybody can find y'all. Tyler, you can go first.
Generally, you can find me on Stasis Lock. 2 Wednesdays out of the month because of my work schedule. Otherwise, you can catch me on, I don't know, the Realm of Collectors Facebook group essentially, and the cafe at Tyler Gillette. Otherwise, I'm pretty much unfindable.
Yeah. No. And Dalton, where can they find you, sexy man?
Pretty much everywhere. Daltonians TFs.
There you go. And the one and the only Dakota. Where they can I find you, man? Primal Sabbath.
You can find me here in this shack sitting by the candlelight here in the bayou share.
You swamp. Now find Primal Sabbath, man. Go look him up, man. Go subscribe and all that good stuff. And subscribe to Dalton too. He does some stuff, good stuff also. So yeah, really good dudes. And go check them out on Stasis Lock. They're live on Wednesdays. They're now on Primal Sabbath's YouTube channel now, right?
Yes, I effectively underhandedly stole it from Chris.
That's fine.
From Clutch from Bricks on the Dollar. Yeah.
It needed to be stolen. It's fine. It's good.
Well, we had this big falling out, whole bunch of drama. Check it out. The last 2 episodes are on.
It's good
Primal
stuff.
Sabbath.
Yeah. Once again, thank you all very much, and thank you everybody for coming in. Go in there and sub for me, and all that good stuff. And I guess I will see you on the next. Let's talk about Transformers Live. And as always, hail Hasbro, and good night, folks.
Good night, folks.
Good night.